I'm speaking with Barinder from Supreme. And Barinder, your background's in government relations, you actually worked with the federal government in Canada. What is the political landscape in the EU like to work within the cannabis industry?
I think it's great to work with. So Malta, I think, is a shining example because coming to this conference, it's so wonderful to see a prime minister speak, ministers speak. You have the regulator here with Malta Medicines Authority. You have Malta Enterprise here, not just speaking at the conference, but their entire staff here. So I think it's one shining example for the entire EU to see that when a country wants to move, how you truly embrace it, champion it. But overall, I think a lot of improvements can be made. Back home in Canada, we don't see our governments championing this industry yet. I would hope they do more, but Malta, I think, is a very good example for the EU.
And now Supreme is a Canadian cannabis company, obviously, but we all know that Canada is having its growing pains. And so you guys have entered the EU market. And what countries are you really focused on? I know you're in Malta, but are there certain places that you're seeing the growth for Supreme happening faster? Is there choices that you're making based on supply chain? What's your strategy?
Yeah, so Supreme, we're a globally diversified portfolio of brands, companies, and products. So right now, our medical brand Trevera has about 28 products, primarily in London and the EU right now. CBD products, wellness products. We see CBD as a big uptake, particularly in the UK, across Europe. I think it's going to go fairly well. So we're launching that. We've also have Supreme Heights, which is our investment vehicle, which we're investing in early stage CBD companies, helping that grow. So we want to get in and help grow brands and understand the market in that stage. So for us right now, our focus is to grow our brands and obviously look at opportunities for cultivating here in the future. It's moving rapidly fast. Every time I come over here, you hear more and more chatter, more conversation, and I think that's all going to be good for players like us to come over.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too to see. I mean, it's slow and steady, I guess you could say, over in the North American markets, and people had to be vertically integrated. And I feel like over in the EU, different countries are kind of picking pieces of the supply chain that they want to focus on, and they're a bit more strategic about being good at one thing rather than trying to be good at everything. Where are you guys currently operating? Fill me in on your locations.
Sure, yeah. So we're a producer in Canada, for sure. We've got 3 licensed facilities in Canada. In Canada, our brands are doing very well. 7 Acres is our recreational brand in Canada. Blisco is our wellness brand. We just launched our first premium CBD oil in Canada, which is going to be received very well. And Trevera, based in there, is our medical brand. But as I mentioned, in the European market already, we have a partnership with a company called Medigrow in Lesotho, there in South Africa, producing a large-scale medicinal CBD oil, which will be ready for export into the European market and other markets. I mentioned Supreme Heights. We have an investment vehicle in the UK, and in Malta we're looking at potentially doing things here. We've obtained our letter of intent from Malta Enterprise and looking at plans here potentially.
And when you mentioned the investment fund, Supreme Heights in UK, and you're focusing on brands and early stage brands, what kind of criteria, I mean, for people that are starting brands or looking to be invested in, what's the criteria that you're using to actually figure out where to put your money right now?
Yeah, we're looking at differentiated brands, brands that speak to a certain segment, strong teams behind it. And at Supreme, what we feel we have very well is that we will come back you up with an investment. We're looking for strong idea, differentiated long-term brands that we can invest in, and a strong team that has the idea but not necessarily the capital or the team to grow that. So that's what we bring. We're a multi-award winning brand in Canada now for 2 years in a row. So that's something that we understand. We have top-class regulation team. So we want to bring that Canadian expertise over here and help those brands grow.
It's day 2, year 2 of Medcann World Forum, and so we'd love to understand what your experience has been like and what you think about Medcann and how it's different than the other conferences.
Yeah, I think the conversation flow has been fantastic. Being here last year, the inaugural one, I think I was very surprised last year for inaugural forum how well it was executed and done, and this year it's getting bigger, and I see a lot of pioneers in the Canadian cannabis space here for the first time, which is awesome. People like Chuck and Jeanette here, so that was great to see. And I think people genuinely, it's not early stage folks, it's folks who understand the industry that are here, who just want to leg up. And as I mentioned before, having the entire government body here present, not just for a day, not just for a speech, but they're here the entire 3 days.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be here. Thanks.